And welcome to the third instalment of our candidate engagement playbook run by Firefish. We're delighted to be taking over the Recruiting Gym sponsorship sessions this week. This is the third session run by David. Morning, David. How are you?
Morning. Very well. Thank you.
Great. Session one, we covered off the benefits of an engaged and active database and sort of gave some takeaways. So if you're replaying the sessions at a later point and you've jumped in halfway through, it'd be beneficial to go back to session one where you can explore the benefits of an engaged and active database and begin to measure how engaged your database is at the moment versus industry standards or top performers there. Yesterday, Alex from Firefish took us through a great session on how to nurture candidate loyalty, driving clear and honest communication, personalisation, fostering regular contact, utilising automations to really establish candidate loyalty through automation to give you the time savings to basically spend your time where the money is. And today, David's going to take us through another brilliant session on how to actively engage a candidate to get rich information from them, something that's going to be really relevant to sessions 1 and 2 and the later sessions that we have coming up tomorrow on how to manage a candidate pipeline. So that's probably enough from me this morning. David, I'll hand the reins over to you if you want to kick us off, mate.
Thank you very much, Campbell. So today I really want to talk to you all about how we engage candidates when we're speaking to them, when we get them on the phone, and how we do that with our communication. So there's really a lot of very simple things that we can actually implement, and a lot of them might seem like basics, but doing the basics right can make all the difference in getting a candidate to engage. So really the first thing is, how do we engage a candidate? So the word rapport, I'm sure you've all heard that before. That gets bandied about a lot, especially when you're starting out on candidate calls. You're being told, build a rapport with the candidate. But what does that actually mean? Well, I think it means the trust. You need to get the candidates to trust you. So 73% of job seekers say that the process of looking for a job is actually one of the most stressful events in their life. And if you look at it from the candidate's point of view, if you think they might be making major life changes that can affect them, they can affect their family, and they're going to be nervous about that. And they might be nervous about some of the things that they want to talk to you about or need to talk to a recruiter about, be that the relationship with their management and colleagues, their salary, all those things people can be very nervous talking to you about. So you actually have to be able to communicate and engage a candidate in a way that they can open up about that information, because that's the information that's going to be crucial for you winning the placement or another recruiter winning the placement. So really it's all about taking the candidate through a journey where we can get them. So they're not going to really open up about everything straight away. It's about having all those touch points and making sure that we're engaging them in the right way each time. So I think, when we're on calls with candidates and clients as well, one of the biggest rules that I have in my head is, don't be that guy from The Simpsons. Everyone knows the salesman from The Simpsons that's always dead nervous, always really pushy for the sale. Those salespeople don't really exist anymore. They've had their day. So if you feel like him at any point when you're on a call, stop, take a minute. So really, one of the best strategies I ever was told for not being Gil from The Simpsons here is, don't become invested in the outcome. It might seem really hard because we all have targets to hit, we all have outcomes we need to get and outcomes we want. But if you're getting a no, that's fine. You've got an answer. So stop looking for a yes and just look for an answer. Your goal's really to uncover the big picture, the goals for the prospect. If you find out that your job aligns with the prospect's goals, the deep things that they're looking for in terms of their next career move, they're going to actually see you as a much more valuable partner rather than a salesy recruiter. And if you're a valuable partner to your candidate, they're going to be much more likely to engage with you long term and open up with you as well. So just remember, when you're building rapport, as I said before, it wasn't built in a day. So if you don't get your candidate the job they're looking for today, if you do it in the right way and you have the right conversations with them, 6 months' time, they'll be the ones, you'll be the recruiter that they use when they do actually look at moving. So when we're building rapport and trust with candidates, one of the biggest things that you can actually do to help you do that is be a market expert. So you need to know your market, because that helps you build trust again. because top candidates want to deal with recruiters who know what they're talking about. You think a top candidate in your market, and I'm sure we all want to work with the top candidates in our markets. They're all going to want to work with recruiters that know what they're talking about, that can represent them in the best possible way. So being a market expert is not going to hurt you at all when it comes to gauging candidates. So really what you should be doing is following industry news, ask your prospects, where do you go to learn about the market, what's happening in the market, follow the developments closely, have conversations with your candidates about that, learn what their thoughts are, learn their perspectives on these issues, and then you can have those conversations with your candidates and really appear like a market expert, or become an actual market expert rather than appearing like one, should I say. So for example, if you recruit software developers, be able to talk to them about how AI generated coding is going to change their market, is going to change your job long term. Because also you have to remember that you're going to be the expert in the job market within that field. So be able to give advice on how the job market's going to change, how the factors that are affecting their job is going to affect them long term, and how you're going to be able to do that. Also, when you take into account market knowledge for engaging a candidate, one really important thing is how does the job work? For example, are all your candidates night shift workers? Maybe not do your candidate calls at 6 o'clock in the morning where they're all coming off shift and going to bed for the day. Is there times of the year where maybe you might not want to focus on candidate calls because they're all busy, like accountants towards the end of the financial year? So these are all things that you need to think about really to help drive engagement, and your market knowledge can really help you do that. So one massive thing is knowing your CRM and knowing your notes. So you don't have to remember everything about every candidate off the top of your head. If your notes are good enough, they can really become your secret weapon to allow you to come across like you've remembered a previous conversation, even when you might not, and that's perfectly acceptable. Very, very few people have photographic memories, and you'll be speaking hopefully to hundreds of candidates on a regular basis. So having the right notes, having the details of your previous conversations thoroughly documented is going to be really important. But then also, don't be afraid to put the personal stuff in the notes, when their birthday is, where they've been on holiday, anything exciting or unusual. For example, I've got a prospect, I always note my prospects down, things like that, where they've been on their holiday, and then I can go and ask them that as well when I speak to them and have our conversations. And you can go a wee bit further. This might sound slightly creepy, but do your research. So have a look at their social media profiles. You should be anyway as a recruiter, and you'll make sure that there's nothing absolutely terrifying that your client might not want to find out in their profiles. But if there's any interests that are aligned that you can subtly drop in a conversation, that's going to help you drive engagement. If you're looking at their LinkedIn, any recent professional achievements, have they recently got certifications? Have they posted about anything over the employee of the month, for example? And these are all things that you can use to engage people, make them feel good about themselves, make them feel that warm and fuzzy feeling that are going to make them open up to you. If you have things in common, people are going to relax and they're going to talk to you. So make sure you're focus on that. And use your personality. So this is one of the hardest things I think that people, when they are on telemarketing jobs, find commonly, is being able to put your personality across in a call. So they need to think that they're dealing with another human when you're speaking to a candidate. If they think they're dealing with a corporate drone, they're not going to open up, and they're probably not going to actually remember you long term in 6 months. They'll probably more likely remember the recruiter that they had a laugh with in 6 months' time when they phone up again for another job. Do you want to be that recruiter? Don't be afraid to be yourself. You're unique. And that's what the prospects want. So, and they'll be open and honest with you if you're open and honest with them, and you'll get more rich information, which is what we're looking for. And you have to think of the basics as well. So things like active listening. Yep, okay, fantastic. And then asking questions in the right way. So thinking about the open questions that get open answers. If you ask closed questions to prospects, you'll get closed answers. Yes, no, yes, no. You don't actually learn anything about that candidate. If you ask questions in the right way, they'll give you nice, open, long, detailed answers. And then you can ask the right follow-up questions to build further detail. And make sure that you're going to display empathy when you're speaking to the candidates. Can you relate to them? Did you have a nightmare boss that was doing the similar things that are making them look for a new job? So these are all things that you have to look at bringing in. And when you have those listening and communication skills, when you practice them, make sure you work on them, you'll be able to engage candidates much more thoroughly as well. And asking the difficult questions is, again, super important. So your prospects are going to respect you if you ask tough questions. So if they don't, for example, if they don't seem that engaged looking for a new job, asking them about that and finding out more. They're going to remember, again, the recruiters that challenge them and the recruiters that challenge them in a positive way. You don't need to be confrontational when you're doing this. You just need to make sure that you're covering all the angles when qualifying a candidate. And the candidates are going to appreciate that and remember that. Because remember, you're trying to find out the deep things that are driving them to look for a new job, so you can align that with what you have in your network. Also, make sure you're prepping your candidates for counter offers. All that stuff's great. When it comes later in the process, if you've got that engagement with a candidate that you can talk to them about that stuff, they're much less likely to actually accept that if you've managed to do that work up front. And then finally, for engaging candidates, once we've had the conversation, the phone's hung up, one of the most important things for engagement is actually being able to follow up in the right way. So there's really 4 things that you need to do here. So you can follow up promptly. So while you're still in the candidate's mind, show that you're on the ball. So as soon as you pick that phone, make sure you're prepared. You have your emails, your documents, everything like that templated out. So when you've finished the conversation with the candidate, you can get any further information, any next steps over to them straight away. So the call's fresh in their mind, and then they've got the next step in the follow-up. The follow-up's really good for recapping the conversation because it can show the candidate that you've listened. And also, if there's anything that you're maybe a little unsure of, or anything that maybe wasn't communicated that clearly, a recap's really strong for making sure you're both on the same page. Then if you've missed any questions, you can always ask in the follow-up. And finally, clearly lay out the next steps. So you know what you're doing, the candidate's clear what you're going to be doing for them. And if the candidate needs to do anything, it's in writing what you need to do for you. And it shows that you're really on the ball, you have the plan, and that's going to help drive engagement. That's us. Thank you very much for listening.